Oh, yeah. Is it Thursday already? I don't know what that was. Had some technical difficulties behind the scenes. Some things just don't like to work on a Thursday at 2 p.m. I don't know what it is. But sometimes things just don't like to work. Okay, maybe it's the fact that Star Wars fans have lost their goddamn minds. Battlefront 3, is this actually going to happen? Can the Star Wars fans use the power of friendship to create one of the greatest Star Wars video games to ever exist? Well, we're going to talk about it today. Also, speaking of greatest Star Wars to ever exist, Andor Season 2 ended last week, and now we're getting so many new Easter eggs and details about this second season and Andor as a whole from Tony Gilroy, the creator of the whole damn thing, and the actors and actresses from the show. So without further ado, and slightly a little bit late today, let's get this thing started. What's up, everybody? How's everybody doing on this fine Thursday afternoon? If you know me, you know this is the most frustrating thing of all time. I hate when technology doesn't like to work, but here we are. 4 minutes late. Longest 4 minutes of my life. Okay, let's dive into all of this. We're talking Battlefront 3. We're talking Battlefront 2. We're talking Andor Season 2. And, of course, the Natalie Portman stuff that's going on today. I saw it. Don't you worry about that. We'll talk about that, too. But without further ado, let's say hi to everybody in the chat. Shall we? Shall we? Droopy McCool, of course, is in the house. Dom, how we doing? King Shadow, what is up? Your pal Joe in the building. Holly, what is up? WUV Grad, how we doing? Fit Cone, what is up? JC, how we doing? B-Man, what is up? Dustin, how we doing? Starship 66 in the house. Trent, what is up? If I missed you, 50 Thunder, how we doing? Fearless in the building. Darth Plagueis lives. If I missed you, you know the deal. Just yell at me in the chat. Let's give everybody a nice little,
Hello there.
General Kenobi.
Okay, so I think we got to start with the Battlefront 3 stuff. This has gotten way out of hand. I don't know how this even happened, but it seems like the Star Wars fandom has used the fact that there are billions of Star Wars fans across the entire world to their advantage. Because usually, when it comes to Star Wars fans, we're always arguing or we're always trying to attack each other. But for this one time, this weird May 22nd, I'll get to that in 1 second. This weird May 22nd, this world we live in here, the Star Wars fandom has never been more united. Probably ever since 1977. Because Empire Strikes Back immediately split the Star Wars fandom into people who didn't like it or whatever. And then, of course, the Ewoks in Episode 6. And then you got the prequel trilogy, which was met with a great divide in the Star Wars fandom. And then the sequel trilogy and every other project from there on out was met with a huge divide in the Star Wars fandom. However, today, on May 22nd, 2025, we sit here united as Star Wars fans, begging for one thing in particular. And that one thing is Battlefront 3. So could this actually happen? Could Star Wars fans gang together and make this happen? Because the reality is, if that could work, oh, what we can accomplish, Star Wars fans, what we can accomplish in the Star Wars universe, it's going to be pretty damn fun.
This is where the fun begins.
But we did start out the stream, right? Because we got your pal Joe with a gifted membership. I appreciate that quite a bit. And it goes to Dustin Duffy. Dustin, welcome to the people who love Star Wars. Okay. So, first of all, welcome to the people who love Star Wars. Dustin, I appreciate that. Your pal Joe, Super Chats, memberships, keep the lights on over here. But let's talk about Battlefront 3. And let's just talk about Battlefront 2 as well, because there's been this huge resurgence of this 8-year-old game. It came out in 2017. It's 8 years old almost. I believe it came out in October. So almost 8 years old. And it hasn't received updates in over 5 years. And yet, now, May of 2025, it's getting this enormous resurgence of hundreds of thousands of active users. Why? Why is this happening? Why now? Great question. So a lot of argument has been brought into this. Is it Andor Season 2? Is it the fact that Fortnite is getting this new Star Wars season? Is it because we're kind of close to May the 4th? What is the real reason for this specific time? Well, honestly, I think it's the perfect storm. As I already saw many of you mention in the chat, the purpose of getting Battlefront 3, the reason that fans think we can do this is because of one line from Rogue One and now has been explained even more in Andor Season 2, and that is rebellions are built on hope. I don't think Lucasfilm or really anybody could have predicted this, but Andor Season 2 has done the craziest thing that they never could have imagined, and that was made the Star Wars fandom hopeful. It sounds crazy, but the entire second season of Andor is built around this big old message of rebellions are built on hope. And somehow, some way, that message was so well received by the Star Wars fandom that we are sitting here today talking about demanding, not asking, demanding for Battlefront 3. It's crazy, but let's get into the facts. Let's get into the numbers. Let's get into what's going on here, okay? So, it seems as though people are not only going back to Battlefront 3 and not just demanding Battlefront 2 either, but even actors and actresses from Star Wars are getting behind this play. And you go into comment sections of any video online right now, pretty much any video online right now, and you will see Battlefront 3 comments. Take a look at this. So obviously, oops, that's not what I clicked on. So obviously, whoa, that's very loud. So obviously, in a post like this, you're going to see Battlefront 3 stuff, and you see it all over here. Battlefront 3 in the comment section, Battlefront 3, I believe that's a bunch of, Battlefront 3, spread the word, Battlefront 3, Battlefront 3, Battlefront 3, Battlefront 3, hashtag Battlefront 3, Battlefront 3. Of course, that's a Battlefront 3 post. Sure. But
we got to get Tom on the show sometime.
This is the Pat McAfee show. But if you give me a 1 into the chat if you know what the hell this is. This is the Pat McAfee show. It's a sports show. It was a podcast. Now it's on actual cable television, I think. I don't even know. But this has nothing to do with Star Wars. This post has nothing to do with Star Wars. It's about Tom Cruise in Mission Impossible. Nothing to do with Star Wars. And yet, when you look in the comment section, Battlefront 3, spread the word. Battlefront 3, let's make Battlefront 3 happen. Battlefront 3, spread the word. Like, this has nothing to do with Star Wars. Literally nothing. So this has gotten to the craziest extremes of wherever you go online. Look in the comments section, because there's probably people, and you'll probably see something that looks a little bit like this. Something along the lines of this. And if you know your American history, this is Paul Revere going through, screaming that the Redcoats are coming. The Redcoats are coming. The Redcoats are... He's sort of the messenger. Andor, the messenger. Get it? See, it's all connected, Chad. But here's the thing. Spread the word. Battlefront 3 is coming. It really is the perfect storm. I mean, so much of what the Star Wars fandom is doing right now, this push to get this game to happen, is the messages that were sent out in Andor Season 2. Star Wars is all about these real-world references and mythology and lessons and all that stuff. This is the perfect example of that working. Andor Season 2 is talking about hope and rebellion and all this greatness of the people can take down the big old empire, or at least persuade the big old empire. And that's what we have the opportunity to do here. Star Wars fans don't realize that they have a lot of power. Usually it's used for bad. It's used for hate. For example, The Acolyte. As many of you know, I'm a pretty big Acolyte fan, but I know a lot of you are not, and that's perfectly fine. We have different opinions. Oh my God! But the reality is, The Acolyte Season 2 is probably never going to happen because of the Star Wars fandom. There was clearly a plan for a second season. It was set up for a second season, but the reason it will never happen is because the Star Wars fandom made sure of that. What are you going to do? That's happened time and time again. When Lucasfilm sees online that Star Wars fans are crapping all over something or hating on something, whatever, it's sort of the same reason that they stopped making Star Wars movies for the last 6 years. Because Solo got absolutely shit on. The Rise of Skywalker, The Last Jedi didn't perform too well, and the fandom was divided, especially online. However, this is the first time, and strangely enough, it's about Battlefront 3, but this is the first time in a very long time, maybe even ever, that the Star Wars fandom has come together in one united cause. And that is to make this Star Wars video game happen. Pretty crazy. Pretty crazy. But it's not just that, because Battlefront 2, the current game that still exists, that has sort of been dead for a couple of years. They don't make updates anymore, so people don't really play it anymore. That game has had this enormous resurgence. And when I say enormous, I mean enormous. Check this out. Where is it? Yes, this is it. Battlefront 2 hits a new peak last night. 176,000 active players at the same time. I can happily say that I was one of those 176,000 people playing last night as we streamed it over on the Eggs Gaming channel. But I'll probably be playing it again tonight and tomorrow night because Battlefront 2 is still freaking fun. The crazy part to me is the graphics still hold up. I mean, that game is still really, really fun. The weird part, though, is... Oh, I'll get to that in one sec. The weird part, though, is the question of, do they have to even make a Battlefront 3, or could they just update Battlefront 2? Now, the reasoning they won't do that is because they won't go back to a dead game. This game has been dead for 5 years in terms of EA and DICE and all those people who made the game. It's been dead for 5 years. So they're not going to go back to a dead game. They'd have to remake a new one. But really, the only things that you have to do is update the graphics a little bit and give us more characters. Because yes, you have Anakin, you have... Well, let's check it out. Battlefront 2 characters. Let's see. Yeah, so here are your playable characters in Battlefront 2. You got your bounty hunters, you got your Bosks, your Boba Fett's. You got your main characters, of course, Chewie, Han, Luke, Leia, Lando from the original trilogy with Vader and Palpatine as the bad guys. You got your sequel characters, Finn, Kylo Ren, Phasma, Rey over here. And then, Poe Dameron's not in this game. Then you got your prequel characters, your Yodas, your Anakins, your Dooku's, your Grievouses, your Obi-Wans, and of course your droids as well. Wow. Okay, never mind. And then your ships. The amount of characters that you could add to this game with a third one, think about it. Think about it. We're not just talking here. We're not just talking Din Djarin and Grogu, because that would be cool. Sure, whatever. Ahsoka Tano, great. Any character from the Clone Wars, any character from Rebels, Ezra Bridger, Kanan Jarrus, Harrison Dula, all those side shows. Andor, put in Cassian, put in Bix, put in K2SO. All of these characters. And now you're talking about maps? Give us Narkina 5. Give us Narkina 5. I don't know. I can't even think of other ones. Ferrix, sure, why not? Just Andor's on the brain. But the amount of content that is there, the amount of money that could be made by Lucasfilm, by EA, by making a Battlefront 3 is insane. It's absolutely, it's right there. It's right there. They're sitting on a gold mine. A gold mine. You look across the gaming industry right now. Another company that's owned by Disney is making boku bucks with Marvel Rivals. The Marvel Cinematic Universe is enormous. For the last 20-ish years, give or take, the MCU has been the king of the cinema. Every Marvel movie that comes out makes like $1 billion, and they went on this crazy run from 2008 to 2019, from Iron Man 1 to Avengers Endgame. They were the king of all kings. Then there was this big old lull in the MCU. Phases 4 and 5, they had their misses, they had their hits, but they had a lot of misses. People thought there was a bunch of this so-called superhero fatigue, where people didn't want to see superheroes anymore. But that was a big old lie, because The Boys was on Amazon Prime doing insane numbers, and they come out with Marvel Rivals, which makes millions upon millions of dollars every single month now for Marvel. Why can't that be replicated? Actually, probably even bigger with Star Wars, with Battlefront 3. Imagine they dropped a Battlefront 3 with all the playable characters from all the different shows, all the different movies in the entire Star Wars galaxy. Hell, throw in even like freaking throw in Legends characters. Why not? It would be the biggest thing ever. It really would. Screw GTA 6. We're talking Battlefront 3. One is way better than the other. And that's from my personal unbiased opinion. It's like they don't want money. It's like they see this gold mine of billions of dollars. And they're like, nah. Well, here's what I actually think's going on. Because, something has to be said about what Lucasfilm is thinking right now. This has been going on for multiple days. Obviously, Lucasfilm, EA, whatever you want to call it, Disney, they've recognized this. They're not stupid. They have eyeballs, okay? They see this. They see that content creators are making videos about it. They see that online, every comment section says, make Battlefront 3 happen. They notice. Even during Star Wars Celebration, the entire live feed was just make Battlefront 3. So it's been going on for a couple months now. It's just really hit its peak here in the last couple days. They notice. The only problem is, in order for them to make Battlefront 3, if they aren't currently working on it, which I hope they are, the only way that they can make it, it would take years to make a game like this. You're talking about this enormous multiplayer game with all these huge maps and characters. It would take years. And fans want it now. That's a big issue. That's a really big issue. Because it's not just going to happen overnight. As much as fans would love it to happen, it's not going to. So, I'm going to put up a poll in the chat. And again, tell me what you think. Let me end this one first. If you haven't smashed a freaking like on the stream, get on that. Get on that. Adam, what's up? You haven't finished your K2 yet? All right, well, let me know when you do. Okay. Let me start up a poll. Do you want Battlefront 3? Yes or no? Just an easy poll, right? Yes or no, chat. Ron, what's up? How we doing? You know what, Ron? I was thinking about this yesterday. Not having Andor this last week was devastating, of course, because wanted to keep going on forever. But not getting to go on your guys' show and just talk Star Wars for 2 hours is just heartbreaking, you know? Yeah, I know. It's not about money. It's a message machine. What? I don't know what that means. Okay, well, I have heard this argument too. They're saying that if Lucasfilm gives in, I guess, to the fans and they make Battlefront 3, well, then wouldn't that mean that the fans can get other things to happen too? Well, yeah. Duh. That's literally what's been happening already. Like I mentioned before, the Acolyte Season 2 will never happen because of the Star Wars fans. We sit here and we act like we don't have any power in what happens with Star Wars. We do. We do a lot, actually. And it's the power of the billions of fans who buy the products that Lucasfilm sells, who watches the shows that Lucasfilm makes, who plays the games that Lucasfilm creates. We obviously have a say in what happens. Not directly like, oh, make an Andor show, because we didn't know what the hell Andor was before it happened. We don't have that much of a say, but we do have a say in stuff like this. If we want Battlefront 3, the United Star Wars fandom can make that happen. If we want anything, Old Republic content, which so many Star Wars fans have been speaking out about but not really like the united Star Wars fandom you see about Battlefront 3. If we want something as a Star Wars community, and again, it's really hard to unite around one thing. I feel like Battlefront 3 is the perfect storm again, but if we want something, we can make it happen. We can absolutely make it happen. Yeah. They also know that a small fan base is currently creating Kyber 2. True. So there's a modded version of Battlefront 2 that's online that has all these other characters. It's just sort of skins over the old characters, so it's a little bit different, but yeah, for sure. The power of many, exactly. If the Acolyte taught us anything, it's the power of many. Yeah. So right off the bat, with this poll, and it just went up a second ago, 88% of you say yes, you want Battlefront 3. I mean, the numbers don't lie. I'll even put up a community tab poll maybe tomorrow, or yeah, probably tomorrow, and see where are we at. Battlefront 3, it seems, if you go online and see all these comment sections of Battlefront 3 and all these posters that fans are making of, they're actually pretty funny. Like the guy, like this. Like it's a war almost. Like we're going to war for Battlefront 3. It's great. It's really great. To see the Star Wars fandom come together like this, it's beyond cool. Oh wait, I forgot that super chat too. Hang on, chat. Your pal Joe with the very generous $2 holla says, let's make it happen. I'm so hyped. I'm so hyped too, but again, it won't happen for years. The coolest part to me about all this, though, is that Battlefront 2 is back. Because I loved Battlefront 2 when it first released, or I guess not when it first released, because, you know. But like a year, 2 years later, when it was sort of at its peak, that's when it was awesome. When you could play as all the characters, of course, and when everybody was playing, that was awesome. You need active lobbies, and that's what we have right now. So if you're not playing Battlefront 2, or you're like, oh, I haven't played that in forever, I bet you it's dead. It's not dead. It's not dead. Right now, people are playing, hundreds of thousands of people are playing, and it's fun as something really fun. I was going to say something else, but I'm going to not say that. It's very fun. It's still very, very fun. And yes, we'll be streaming it over on the Eggs Gaming channel, so if you want to hop on and sort of take down the Empire with me, that would be fantastic. Okay. Darth Plagueis lives with a very generous $10 holla. Holy crap, you guys are feeling generous today. Says, Mike, we need Battlefront 3. I mean, yeah, it wouldn't hurt. Also, did you see Natalie Portman could be coming back to Star Wars? Much love. Yes, we'll talk about the Natalie Portman stuff in a little bit. It's pretty cool, actually, and I have some... This is not the first time we've heard Natalie Portman say something like this, and I don't think it'll be the last, because I think she is coming back. But yeah, we'll talk. Yeah. Okay. So this was the biggest thing too. Andor actor, the kid who played Wilmon, his name is Mohanad Ben Amor. Sorry, I don't know how to pronounce names, as you guys know. But this guy who plays Wilmon posted this on his story last night, or maybe 2 nights ago. Star Wars got to give us Battlefront 3 ASAP. And then he actually followed this up by posting... Oh, wait, where's the other one? Hang on. There's another one. Oh, yeah, this. Grew up with Battlefront 2. Have been a veteran since day one. Let's hope that Battlefront 3 happens. And this is his playtime on Battlefront 2. 469 hours. Can somebody do the math on that? How many days is that playing Battlefront 2? I have no idea. But somebody do the math in the chat. I think this was his more PR-friendly response, because I think maybe somebody at Lucasfilm called him and was like, hey, you got to take that down. This is a little bit, calling us out too much. And then he put this up because this is a lot better. It's like, I grew up with Battlefront 2. They should make Battlefront 3. Yeah, woohoo. Yeah. Instead of, make it now or else. But I guess, hey, he's Wilmon. He's probably never going to see the screen in Star Wars maybe ever again. So he can kind of say whatever he wants, I guess. But yeah, this is sort of the more PR-friendly response. And yeah, how many days is it? 19 and a half days, 20 days. Oh my God. So he's played 20 days on Battlefront 2. That's a long time. That's a long time. Yeah. It's crazy. I have no idea what my time is, but it's definitely nowhere close to that. Yeah, so that's pretty cool. Wilmon, actor from Andor Season 2, is backing up this push for Battlefront 3, which is pretty cool. Again, you come on Twitter, and this is all you see. Battlefront 3 spread the word. Battlefront 2's numbers are up. They peaked a 104% increase from the night before, the highest peak in almost 5 years. Crazy. You see stuff like this. Oh, wait, that's not it. That's the Gungan stuff. You see stuff like this. We'll talk about that in a second. You see stuff like this. Logging into X today to see my entire feed filled with Battlefront 3 posts. Oh, we'll get to that in a sec, too. Okay, let's talk about these things for a quick second, okay? We'll get to that. Okay. So somebody brought up this fan theory, and I kind of like it. Let's take a look at this. Somebody brought this fan theory up, and I'd like to see what you guys think of this. Thoughts? Opinions? So, I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, this character in the bottom here from The Rise of Skywalker has a name. I'm not quite sure what that name is. I'm almost positive it's not Vel. But visually, they look very similar. Same sort of nose, that like sort of small, pointy-ish, you know what I mean. Same nose. Blonde hair. The age seems to line up a little bit. What do we think? What do we think? Honestly, this, if it were a retcon, which I'm guessing it is, both like women, that's true too. I think that Andor doesn't have to connect with everything. I agree with that, but this would be pretty cool. Does anybody know what this character's name is from The Rise of Skywalker? Should we look it up? David Fields, and with a very generous $2 holla, I appreciate that, says, I'm cool with this theory. If old guy from Return of the Jedi is Rex, that's true too. Because they threw in the fact that that old guy from Return of the Jedi that's on the Battle of Andor is Captain Rex. So if they can do that, why not do this? I don't know what her name is. I don't even know what the actress's name is. Does anybody know? Let's just look up blonde girl, blonde lady from Rise of Skywalker. See what comes up. Nope, that's Rey's mom. Oh, wait. Here we go. What's her name? What's this lady's name? Oh, here we go. Larma Diacy. Okay. Let's see if that's real. Rise of Skywalker, Larma Diacy. Okay. So Commander Diacy, Larma Diacy. Might as well just be named Vel, right? Might as well just retcon this real quick to Vel and, make everybody happy. Mike. Do you like rice? Yes. I feel like I'm being set up for some trap here, but yes, I do like rice. I don't like where this is going. Is Vel's last name Mothma? Well, they are cousins, but I mean, cousins don't have to have the same last name, you know? Yeah, no. All right, I'm done answering these questions about rice. I don't like where this is going. I've learned my lesson. I've learned my lesson. No, I'm not doing it. I'm not falling for this chat. Okay. Well, either way, this is a very cool fan theory that's been brought up. Obviously, the two characters have different names, but the way that they look, I wouldn't be opposed to a little bit of a retcon there to make it even better. I mean, if you now watch the sequel trilogy with this character thinking that it's Vel from Andor, it immediately makes it better. Immediately makes it better. But that's just me. Tell me what you think in the chat. And while you do, let's talk about this. Okay. In recent days, Battlefront 2, we're going to put a pin on Battlefront 2/Battlefront 3, and then we'll move on to the Andor stuff because what Tony Gilroy has to say is pretty damn cool. In recent days, Battlefront 2 has seen a massive resurgence in players. Of course, there's a lot of different reasons for this, such as a finale of Andor Season 2, May the 4th, and was only a couple weeks ago. You had Tales of the Underworld, you had Star Wars Celebration, but the weird part about it is it's starting now. Like, Andor ended a week ago, and yet it's starting now. However, all this put together has gathered this demand for Battlefront 3. The last game came out all the way back in 2017, 8 years ago. And since then, DICE has been busy making new Battlefield games. Battlefield games, if you don't know, are like Call of Duty, but bigger. They're pretty much Call of Duty, but in this big old massive battlefield. It's Star Wars. It's Battlefront, but it's just the real world instead of Star Wars. The last game was terrible, from what I hear. I never played it. The last game was terrible. It bombed badly, and they're making another one, which hopefully won't bomb badly. But hey, let's stop making those and let's make Battlefront 3 instead. How about we do that? The big actual thing that will make you money. Let's try doing that. That's my take on it. Okay. There's a lot of demand for a new Star Wars Battlefront game, and it would be a great shame if a decade went by without a new one entering development. Even just an announcement of we're going to start making Battlefront 3 like tomorrow or the next day would be all you need. If EA comes out and gives us like literally just the words of Battlefront 3 on a black screen, that's enough. That's enough. It would get fans so ridiculously hyped up. The next Star Wars Celebration's in 2 years, 2027, and it'd probably be done by then. Maybe, I don't know. I don't know how long it really takes to make a video game of that caliber if they haven't even started yet. So probably more than 2 years. But even still, you can give an update at that Star Wars Celebration. Just keep the fans waiting for it, because that will keep the people on Battlefront 2, and it will keep the excitement for when that game eventually drops. Battlefront 3 now? Well, that's not going to happen. They can't just churn out a game in 24 hours. That's definitely not the case. But as much as I would love it, that can't happen. So the demand for Battlefront 2 is very high right now. So my question to you, chat, is why do you think this is happening? Why do you think this is happening right now? What do we think? Saturday is the official Battlefront 2 player count record-breaking event. Oh, is that real? I'm down for that. Saturday night. Saturday night, we're streaming Battlefront. We might even stream Battlefront tonight, maybe? Probably tomorrow night, too. Yeah. Yeah, for sure. Battlefront 3 planned, revealed by ex-developer. You can go check it out, please. What? Did you send it to the Discord? Did you send it to the Discord? If you guys are not yet in the Discord, there's a link in the description below to a Discord called The People Who Love Star Wars. Go join it immediately. Where is this? What are we looking at here, Jen? I don't know what you're talking about. I don't see anything in the Discord. Bombastic says that Saturday is the day to break records. So yes, I don't know what a bombastic is, but okay. Was anything mentioned about Battlefront 3 at Star Wars Celebration? No. A lot of people wanted something to be mentioned about Battlefront 3 at Star Wars Celebration, but it never happened. No. Maybe because there's a while until the next release. Okay, that could definitely be a part of it. The reason that people are talking about this now is because Andor ended, and there's nothing for a little bit. We don't get Rebuild the Galaxy Season 2 or Visions Volume 3 until the fall. So for the entire summer, we pretty much got nothing from Star Wars. I mean, you got the Fortnite Star Wars event and stuff like that, but nothing enormous. No new show, no new live action show, no new animation show. So maybe, possibly, that could be it. Bombastic is a person. Okay. Bombastic is the guy that started the Battlefront 3 rally. Okay. Sure. He's the guy who started this all? I really doubt it. I mean, maybe he is. Sure. I don't know who he is, but maybe he did. But I seriously doubt it. Battlefront 3 has been being begged for like the last 8 years since Battlefront 2 dropped. His name is Andrew. Okay, cool. He's a famous Star Wars YouTube channel. Okay. Maybe I'll have to just check him out. There you go. Yeah. He had a really big impact on it. Well, great. That's what we like to see. They should only announce it when it's actively being made so that so many Star Wars games have been announced and we still have seen nothing in over years. That's the big issue too. People always bring up the fact of Star Wars Eclipse. Star Wars Eclipse was announced 4 years ago? Was it 4 years ago? No. 3 years ago? Maybe 3 years ago or something? I'm not too sure. 3 years ago or something along those lines. And it dropped with this incredible trailer. I mean, the Star Wars Eclipse trailer now still looks like just this cinematic epic. But since then, there has been pretty much zero word on what's going on with Star Wars Eclipse. We've had some bad news here and there, but that's about it. So I get that. A lot of people are very concerned with the possibility of getting another announcement that never turns into anything. I get that. But if it's EA and they see this big old push from the Star Wars fandom to make this game, then I don't see the issue. If they announce that they're currently working on it, I think that should be enough. And they would be very stupid to not make this happen. So going back to why I think this is happening, yes, you have Andor Season 2, and that whole message of hope and rebellion is built on hope, and the hope of getting Battlefront 3 is always there. The fact that May the 4th was just a couple weeks ago and Star Wars Celebration was a couple weeks before that, yeah, that all probably plays into it. But what I think the biggest thing is that Star Wars fans who love to play video games, which is myself included, are looking for a multiplayer Star Wars game. Because think about it. The last one we got was Battlefront 2, 8 years ago. And I mean like a big one. I'm sure there's mobile games and stuff like that were multiplayer. But the last couple Star Wars games, Jedi Fallen Order, Jedi Survivor, Star Wars Outlaws, all of those games are single player. In the Star Wars community, it's a community. There's so many people who love Star Wars. There's so many Star Wars fans across the interwebs, across the world, that want to be a community. They want to play together. They want to have an experience with Star Wars together. In a multiplayer Star Wars game like a Battlefront 3 is exactly what they need, because the last one was 8 years ago. And although, like I mentioned before, Battlefront 2 still holds up, it needs an update. And they're not going to update the old game, so they got to make a new one because they got to add in new characters, new maps, etc., better graphics, all that stuff. So I think it is the perfect storm, but a lot of it has to do with the fact that we haven't gotten a multiplayer Star Wars game in 8 years. And fans are itching for it. You want to play together. It's the same reason that Call of Duty is so popular, Marvel Rivals is so popular, Fortnite is so popular, because you can play with your friends. And everybody likes to play with their friends, especially in the Star Wars community. Yeah. EA knows that fans want this. Why not give it to us? Well, there's a lot of things that could go into that. I think they're making a new Battlefield game right now, so they're probably focusing on that quite a bit. But there's a lot of things that go into making a video game, of course. It's not just the want of getting a video game. However, the Star Wars the Star Wars fandom is so enormous that there's almost no getting around this. Every single post that Lucasfilm or Star Wars or Disney's going to post for the rest of time is going to be filled with, we want Battlefront 3. Hashtag Battlefront 3. Bring us Battlefront 3. For the rest of time until they make this game. So, one of two things happens. One, they turn off the comment sections and just completely ignore it. Or two, they make millions upon millions upon millions of dollars by just making this game. Plain and simple. Because Battlefront 2 is a spectacular game. For 8 years ago, it doesn't have cross-platform. It doesn't have new games, new characters, sorry. It doesn't have new maps. It doesn't get updates anymore. It's constantly on this triple XP thing. It needs updates, which they're not going to do, so it needs a new game. It needs to be cross-platform, absolutely. Battlefront 3 needs to happen. I think it's plain and simple. Battlefront 3 needs to happen. It's been almost 45 minutes and Mike hasn't mentioned a death yet. That must be a record. Yeah, that must be a record. Record-breaking stream today, chat. Yeah. Are you going to watch the live-action How to Train Your Dragon movie? Probably. When does it even come out? Mike. On a scale of 1 to 10, how much do you want Battlefront 3, and what book do you recommend? Okay. On a scale of 1 to 10, how much do I want Battlefront 3? 6 billion, okay? I played Battlefront 2 for like 3 hours last night, which isn't that long, but it's a good chunk of time. And I've been itching since this morning to go play it again. Yeah. I've been like, 6 billion out of 10. But which book would I recommend? I'm guessing you mean Star Wars book, because I wouldn't be like Moby Dick. No. Harry Potter. No. Lord of the Rings. I'm currently rereading the Heir to the Empire trilogy, which can never go wrong with that. But if you're looking for a canon book, Dark Disciple's great. I just finished rereading that again in hype for Tales of the Underworld. I forgot how dark that book was, how dark Quinlan Voss goes. Yeah, there's a lot in that that's really, really good. Yeah. Indeed. Dark Disciple, yeah. That's a good one. Imagine being able to use the Ghost in Battlefront 3, somebody flying and friends on the gunship. That would be insane. It would be so cool. Like, there's so many cool things like that, like the Ghost, like the Rebels crew, like Din and Grogu, like all these different characters that have been introduced since 2019 in all these different shows. I just want to be Chimere with the what the hell's the medal called that they introduced in the Acolyte? I just want to be Chimere with the, what the hell is that medal called, chat? Somebody help me out, please. God. My brain is broken. Cortosis. Thank you, Adam. Cortosis. With the Cortosis mask shutting off lightsabers as they hit me and just slicing people's head off in Battlefront 3. Is that too much to ask? I want to be Luthen. In my emote is me saying, I sacrifice everything for a sunrise that I'll never see. Imagine Luthen was a playable character. That'd be awesome. But I just want greatness. Is that too much to ask? Is that too much to ask? I want bricks and screws in my Battlefront 3. That's what I want. That's what I want. Yeah, Cortosis was, already established. You're right. Yeah. Okay. So that's sort of the gist on Battlefront 2/3. If you are not playing Battlefront 2 Battlefront 2 right now and spamming comment sections about Battlefront 3, get on it. Do your part.
You as well. Sorry about that.
Whoops.
There's like
Do your part. Let's make it happen. Let's show Lucasfilm that we can come together as a Star Wars community, like we so rarely do, and make something great happen. We could do it. We could do it. I want to be a Jedi trying to survive Order 66. Well, that's sort of the issue that I think is going to happen with Battlefront 3, and the reason it might not happen. And that's pure and simple because of the campaign. I don't even think you need a campaign, or even just drop the multiplayer game mode and then give us a campaign later. Because I get it, the campaign of Battlefront 2 is good. We don't even need it. We don't need a campaign. Just give us the multiplayer, you know? Just give us the multiplayer. Yeah. Greatness is definitely too much to ask from EA. Well, how about goodness? Is that too much to ask? Yeah. Mike, where's Sam? Actually, she's not feeling good today, so let's hope she feels better today, chat. Let's hope she feels better today. Okay. All right, let's move on a little bit here. I want to get to the Tony Gilroy stuff, and I know we've already passed almost the 45-minute mark, and we're way behind on all these things we have to get to, okay? Okay. Let's get to this Tony Gilroy stuff. So, Tony Gilroy sat down and talked about making of the second season of Andor. So, pretty much what's happening here is we are in the aftermath of one of the greatest Star Wars shows to have ever existed. And pretty much what the Star Wars fandom is in right now is this weird spot where we don't know what to do. We're sitting here going, it's a Thursday at 3 p.m. What do I do with my life? That's what we think, okay? And we're putting all that energy into trying to get us Battlefront 3. But in reality, what that energy is I miss Andor Season 2. And I wish it never ended. So what's going on here is we got an interview with Tony Gilroy from StarWars.com. So let's take a look at this. Making a Revolutionary inside Andor Season 2 with Tony Gilroy. Now, this opening line to me, this is why Andor works. Okay? No. Stay with me for a second here. Tony Gilroy is the first to admit that he doesn't know everything about Star Wars. I've said it before, but my knowledge of Star Wars is incredibly deep for a 5-year period. And then, everywhere else, he says, those limitations, however, but then there's thin everywhere else, sorry. Those limitations, however, are really helpful. The reason I like the show, I think the show is really good, is because we've known where we're going to end. Obviously, Andor comes in, we know it goes to Rogue One, and we know where Cassian's story comes to an end. Spoiler alert, he dies to the Death Star on the beaches of Scarif. But this right here, if Andor sucked, if Andor was like the worst thing to ever grace the screen, this would be all Star Wars fans talk about. The fact that Tony Gilroy has no idea about Star Wars. He doesn't even like he doesn't even know Star Wars. He doesn't even know Star Wars. But the fact is that he made 3 of the greatest Star Wars projects to ever exist. Andor Season 1, Andor Season 2, and Rogue One. And because of that, this right here, nobody cares. Nobody. Not a single person cares that Tony Gilroy doesn't know anything about Star Wars outside of this 5-year gap. Nobody cares. Nobody. Because it's that good. We're going to skip this whole background as to what Tony Gilroy is. We know who he is. And let's get to the good stuff. So, Arc 1. This is the first 3 episodes of Season 2. Start your engines. The first arc of Andor's second season opens with a bang, or rather, it opens with a series of several bangs, explosions, top secret TIE prototype, and some flirting, yes, to boot. We transmit to Sinar, maybe, research facility, and here is where we get to see Cassian Andor stealing this TIE Avenger. So here's what Tony Gilroy had to say about that. I wanted to immediately show what kind of business he is in now, because it's been a year since we last saw him in Andor Season 1. I wanted to show how his life had changed and what he's doing. He is different now. He is a leader now. And that's why there's purposely no music at the top of the scene until Cassian sees off to Naya, that girl character from episode 1, the nervous yet brave Cenarian technician. Rick? Did someone say Rick? Chat? Sorry. Rick, the door technician. But then what follows is loud, bombastic. Did somebody say bombastic in the chat earlier? Or was I imagining that? Loud, bombastic, and enthralling. The type of Star Wars storytelling that has become synonymous with Andor. The weird thing about Andor is that so many fans call it not Star Wars. It's like the least Star Warsian Star Wars thing. I gotta disagree. Andor is so Star Wars, even without the things that make Star Wars Star Wars. The Force, the lightsabers, the Jedi, the Sith. Even without that, Andor is still Star Wars, and it feels like you're in the Star Wars world. So I got to disagree with that, but yeah. Is it Matt, the radar technician? No, I'm talking Rick. It's Rick, isn't it? From Jedi Survivor? Hang on. What? Okay. Where was I? Oh, so then we got the Mina Rao stuff. So this now, if you go back and watch the first 3 episodes of Andor season 2, it feels even crazier because this is where Bix's story comes to an end, where she's sitting there with Cassian Jr. looking out into the sunset as she's hoping for Cassian to eventually return, which he doesn't because he dies on the beaches of Scarif. Oh, God. Another new planet introduced is Mina Rao. The heroes from Ferrix fled there, of course, and that's the explanation of where they've been for the last year, hanging out on Mina Rao, which is pretty cool. And of course, we all know what happens there with the whole, sacrifice of Brazo for the greater good, I guess. The loss of Brazo to the Empire, which starts this whole damn thing. We get to see Cassian on this planet, which eventually gets revealed to be Yavin 4, with the early workings of the rebellion. Still 5 years out from Rogue One. Yavin 4 is not really the rebel base yet. It eventually becomes the rebel base throughout the course of Andor Season 2, but at first it's just this jungle planet with a bunch of rebels fighting amongst themselves and playing rock, paper, scissors, of course. And that's the first 3 episodes. So Tony had to say this. We started writing the first episode with a big speech to Naya. It was noble, and perfect and wonderful and classy and inspirational. I then went out for a dinner with my family, and I was at the end of a long table with my son and Benjamin Norris, who actually plays this guy right here, who is Johnny's son-in-law. Johnny in question is John Gilroy, Tony's younger brother and producer of Andor. By the way, if you didn't know this, Tony Gilroy and his 2 brothers, John and what's the other one's name? Sam Gilroy? No. Is it Sam? John, Tony, and what's the third Gilroy's name? What is the third Gilroy's name, Chad? Dan. Thank you, Dan. Dan Gilroy. All 3 of them actually produce and work and write for Andor Season 2. So that's, I don't know that. Star Wars Galaxy might have been made at that table. Star Wars history might have been made at that table, as Tony Gilroy continues. It was a big, rowdy dinner, and there were both such idiots throughout the whole meal. I immediately realized that I needed the revolution to be stupid, too. It was just beautiful. So it couldn't just be beautiful. So the reality is this all happens because of a dinner, family dinner, where Tony Gilroy's son and his nephew, I guess? Yeah, nephew. Son-in-law, Benjamin Norris, were arguing at the dinner table over stupid things. Wild stuff. Okay. We got introduced to Cinderella, of course. Wait, what? Oh, never before seen on camera, Cinderella was. And we get to see all this stuff with Davos Skaldrin, and you get to see his collection, of course, later on in episodes 3 through whatever. We get the big old wedding sequence and all that stuff. She's dancing to keep from screaming, as Tony Gilroy puts it, which is pretty great. And yeah, they all die there. There was something else I wanted to get to here. Oh, of course, the Gorman Massacre happens. We get all this stuff with Bix. I wanted her to heal from season 1. And, of course, Mina Rao, what happens there? The whole stuff with Luthen. I wonder if he gets into any of this stuff. Maybe I should have read this whole thing first. Oh my God, this is a really long article, Chad. I don't think we can read this whole thing here. Skip to the end. You know what? Let's skip to the end. Okay. Time flies. Andor may be over, but its legacy continues as both a part of the Star Wars mythos and a part of the lives of those who worked on it. The last day was fraught with similar emotions from Gilroy and the entire crew. As Tony says this, we finished on the last day in Pinewood Studios. Everyone knew it was the end, as it was the last day. But we put up on the big screen, and some of the editors had made a really great season 2 reel. We had a couple hundred people watching it, and there was a lot of crying for most people. It was 5 years of their lives. It was 5 years of my life. Just making season 2 alone, by the way, that is just these 2 seasons of Andor. That's it. And that's why, of course, he's not coming back. As many people want Tony Gilroy to take over at Lucasfilm, that's not happening. It's definitely not happening. It's going to be maybe a long time, if not ever, until we see Tony Gilroy working on Star Wars again. With its conclusion, the show takes on a rather timeless appeal. And that was done with Tony Gilroy's incredible attention to detail. I think the key of making something timeless is to make it so deep and rich that you can watch it once you go through the story. Story. But then there's so much more in there. Of course, Easter eggs and connections to other projects, but making something timeless, something that you can watch in 50 years and it's still just as good, like A New Hope, like Empire Strikes Back and Return of the Jedi, is a very difficult task to accomplish. And I can guarantee you that 50 years from now, I'll be sitting there watching Andor Season 1 and Andor Season 2 going, this is peak! Oh my God! Maybe not that loud, but I'll be still thinking the same thing. So much attention had been paid to each deep frame of this story that you can find other things in every time you see it. People are already catching this with Easter eggs of Gungan skulls and all this other crazy stuff. You can see how hard everybody worked, and you can see how things connect in ways that you didn't see before. To me, I think timeless means that you can go back and watch something over and over and over again. Now, with Andor and Rogue One specifically, you can go back and watch the connections that these characters have that you never once saw before. Give me a 1 into the chat if you've gone back and watched Rogue One since Andor Season 2 has ended. Over the last week, have you gone back and watched Rogue One? Because that movie has completely changed. We sat here before Andor Season 2 began, and Diego Luna kept saying it. And so did Adria, who plays Bix. Adria plays Bix. They kept saying that this second season will change the way that you watch Rogue One and even change the way that you watch the original trilogy. And it absolutely does. Because when he first said that, I was like, how? How on earth could something that happens before, I guess I was naive, could change the way that you watch something now? And Rogue One has completely changed as a movie. The whole line of rebellion is built on hope, but even all the stuff that happens between Jyn and Cassian, the whole backstory that we know for Cassian, and the fact that Bix was there waiting for him when he dies. And the whole Yavin base was built pretty much by Luthen alone, which is just even more insane. But now when you watch A New Hope, so many people have brought up the medal ceremony. When you watch the medal ceremony where Luke and Han Solo get gold medals for what they did with the Death Star, and characters like Cassian, characters like Luthen weren't alive, obviously, but weren't able to get those medals either, when they did so much more than the farm boy and the smuggler did. It's wild. It makes you look at the movie in such a completely different light. And to change a 50-year-old movie, a 48-year-old movie, 48-year-old movie like that is insane. And to change it in a good way, because it changes it in a way better way. Like, you go back and watch it now and you're like, this is so much better. It's really crazy. It is, in fact, timeless. Yeah. Let's read this last paragraph, though. Now that Andor's journey is over, Tony Gilroy is proud of his accomplishment and is confident in his contribution. I know that I've always been viewed as a Star Wars outsider, because he's talked about many times before that he doesn't know Star Wars. I don't know if that's true anymore. At this point, I have over 24 hours in the Star Wars canon on my resume, and I think my papers are in order. And as the article says, we tend to agree. So this is crazy. Is this right? It's probably about 50 minutes per episode, 24 episodes. It's pretty close. Oh, and then Rogue One is 2 hours. Yeah, it's probably 24 hours of Star Wars content. That's crazy. The original trilogy is completely better now after Andor. Think about that. Okay, hang on. Full stop. Think about that for a second. The problem that so many people have with the sequel trilogy, the problem that so many people had with the prequel trilogy, is the fact that you don't have enough time with these characters. The sequel trilogy is filled with flaws and plot holes. Those things that can be fixed with content around it. Andor has provided the perfect example of what can happen with Luke Skywalker, with what can happen with somehow Palpatine returned, with what can happen with the First Order and Snoke and Kylo Ren for the sequel trilogy. It also is a similar example to what happened with the prequel trilogy, with the Clone Wars. The big complaint with the prequel trilogy, and there are many, is that Anakin Skywalker's fall to the dark side felt too quick. And I think the 7 seasons of Clone Wars kind of helps that out just a little bit. Not only did he have a Padawan who leaves the Jedi Order because of what happened, because of how flawed the Jedi Order seems to be, but the constant berating of Palpatine in his ear and the Jedi not trusting him in his other ear. All of that through 7 seasons of the Clone Wars turns into the fall that we see in Revenge of the Sith. Now, I personally think the fall in Revenge of the Sith is perfectly fine within itself, but the Clone Wars just adds to it. But so many people complained about the fact that Anakin's fall felt too quick, and now you have 7 seasons of the Clone Wars to explain that. Not that the original trilogy needed any help, but it got so much better because of Andor, because of Rogue One. Think about what could happen with a Luke Skywalker Jedi Temple show, with a Kylo Ren falling to the dark side show, with a somehow Palpatine Returns show. Imagine a show just called Somehow Palpatine Returns. The amount of content that could be put in that 25-year gap between Mando and The Force Awakens that could help the sequel trilogy storytelling is absolutely insane. So Andor has not only been a success in and of itself, but it's allowed the opportunity to give us so much greatness that can make the sequel trilogy better, and also so much greatness that could make even the prequel trilogy better. It's pretty crazy when you look at it that way. Disney has already changed the thumbnail on Disney Plus for Rogue One, and now it used to focus on Jin, now it focuses on Cassian. What, really? Really? Hang on. Let's check it out. Rogue One thumbnail focuses on Cassian. Looks the same to me. What? Looks the same to me. Rogue One. What do you mean? What do you mean? I still don't understand the few content creators / YouTubers that won't give Andor a chance. It's like a flex. I don't know. I don't watch other content creators much unless, they're like Star Wars Santa. What's up, Star Wars Santa? Or Star Wars Jedi Podcast or Star Wars Sith or, just a select few. Are people really not? Are there people out there that don't like Andor? I understand that there are people still calling it Andor and stuff like that. I mean, what are you going to do? You can't please everybody, You can't please everybody. They need to explain why Luke had to exile himself. Exactly. They need a good explanation for that. What are you going to do? Look at it this way. Rogue One, which we were just looking at there, and Andor perfectly explain how Leia obtains the Death Star plans. Why the Death Star has this crazy flaw in it that allows one singular guy in an X-Wing to destroy the entire space station. That seems like a huge flaw in A New Hope. But the way that Rogue One explains it, the way that Andor explains it, makes it so much better. The rebellion. How does that rebellion on Yavin 4 come to be? Andor, Season 2 and Season 1, perfectly explains that. With Luthen and with the whole Yavin 4 base coming to be with Mon Mothma and Bail Organa, all that stuff is perfectly explained. The sequel trilogy does not have that. Now, granted, the original trilogy was still great without that, but it's made so much better with it. So yes, how Luke Skywalker goes into exile, that needs to be explained a whole lot better than just Ben Solo had a bad dream. Just like the Death Star plans being got by the rebellion needs to be explained more than just a mission that happened that got the Death Star plans. Yeah, I know. A few people don't like Andor. Cyril dislikes him a lot.
This is where the fun begins.
That's a good one. Yes, Cyril, R.I.P., does not like him all that much either. Yeah. I'm not sure if the link I put in chat went through. No, you guys can't put links in the chat. That just would set up for a whole disaster, Star Wars Santa, what's up? Happy Thursday. I'm a bit behind on the stream, but I'm catching up. Well, I appreciate you. I appreciate it. Andor is not my favorite, but I still watched it and enjoyed it. Just like Rogue One's not my favorite, but it's still good. There you go. I mean, to me, it's not even my favorite either. Rogue One's not my favorite either. Revenge of the Sith is my favorite movie, and Ahsoka's still my favorite show. But Andor Season 2 is up there for sure, and so is Rogue One. Yeah, I know. Yeah, I know. So, I don't know what you meant about this whole Andor is taking the place of Jyn Erso. She is not. Maybe it's something I'm not seeing here. But it's still Jyn. Jyn is still the star of Rogue One. Cassian gets his own 2 seasons. That seems to be enough content for him, Yeah, I know. Okay, there was another thing that I want. Oh, yeah, so let me see if I can find this really quickly. Tony Gilroy. Tony Gilroy opened up about having Princess Leia in Andor Season 2. Let me see if I can find this. Oh, wait. Is this it? Okay, let's check this out. So Princess Leia, although we were predicting would be in the show, yeah, okay, this is perfect. Tony Gilroy reveals he considered using Leia while reflecting on Andor's finale. Now, a lot of things could have changed with the whole Andor show if it was to be 5 seasons. Because if you don't know, originally Andor was pitched to be 5 seasons instead of 2. And honestly, I don't think it would have worked as well as 5 seasons. I know a lot of people are like, oh, how could they take this from us? 5 seasons would have been so much better. I don't think it would have. I think season 2, when you look at it, you look at those 4 arcs that we got in season 2, if those were all expanded to be an entire season, it would be dragged out like crazy, and bore would be the reality. Like, that would not be as well received. So I think 2 seasons worked perfectly, and Diego Luna would have been like 40 playing a 20-year-old or whatever it is. You know what I mean? He would have been like 50 playing a 30-year-old by season 5, so it wouldn't really work as much. But 2 seasons works perfectly. However, if they did have the time to explore more storytelling with those 5 seasons, Leia might have been a bigger part in it. But he does talk about here that Leia was originally put into this story at one point. Yeah, so you guys, we'll read this in a second, but I did see somebody say, what's with the Ahsoka glaze? Ahsoka, to me, people ask me this all the time, and absolutely, I get it. Ahsoka's not everybody's favorite. It's not even a lot of people's favorite. But the reason I like Ahsoka so much as a series, not this character, I do like Ahsoka. She's my second favorite character all time. But the reason I like the Ahsoka series, and I'll just go on a little bit of a, just a little bit. I'll keep it short, okay? Rebels is my favorite Star Wars show. Like, full-on show. It's 4 seasons, so it's a lot more seasons than Ahsoka or even Mando has 3, Andor has 2. Rebels is my favorite show, like full-on show, start to finish. And Ahsoka is much like just Rebels season 5. It's got a lot of those characters that I love so much, like Ezra, Thrawn, Sabine, Hera, Chopper, all involved in live action for the first time. And it's, of course, Ahsoka Tano. The World Between Worlds sequence, Anakin Skywalker is my favorite character all time. The way that it works in that final lesson, because her master goes evil and she doesn't want her new apprentice to go evil. That's why she doesn't train Grogu. All that stuff is perfectly explained. Gives us brand new characters like Baylan Skoll, Shin Hati. Awesome. Sets up Abeloth. Sets up the heir to the Empire. Sets up everything perfectly. It's the it's the Empire Strikes Back of this Mandoverse time period, setting up awesomeness. I could talk about it for hours, so I won't. But that's sort of just a sneak peek as to why I like Ahsoka so much. I get it. It's not for everybody. It's not everybody's favorite by any means. But to me, it is. So that's it. Okay. I won't bore you with all the hours long of, Yeah. Abeloth's going to be so good. Yeah. Oh, 100%. Yeah. Oh, yeah. I think Mike loves Ahsoka because it's full of member berries, no offense. Honestly, I get it. Ahsoka is full of all that stuff, but it's really just Rebels Season 5, and that's why it's so great. Yes, it has Anakin, sure, but it fits for the story. My favorite character in Ahsoka is Baylan Skoll, who's a brand new character, but that's, I guess, besides the point. Ezra was my favorite character in Rebels. So Ahsoka's not even my favorite character in either of the shows, even though she's my second favorite character all time. I get it. There's a lot of stuff going on in Ahsoka, but that's why it works. I get it. Okay? Andor went without cameos, and it's still one of the greatest shows of all time. Nostalgia is a very big thing in Star Wars. It's clear even in Andor as well. But to say that Ahsoka can't be good because it has Ahsoka in it, because it has the Rebels crew in it, because it has Anakin in it, it's just ridiculous. That's what makes it good. Fan service is always considered to be a bad thing. It's just not. It's actually the greatest thing to ever be invented. So maybe after the wheel or sliced bread. Yeah. I'm not saying that Ahsoka is bad, but Filoni should have had Timothy Zahn for Thrawn. Like, play Thrawn? I don't think so. But I will say that the greatness of Ahsoka is having Zahn on the set and having him be, or not on the set, but having him be sort of brought in to help out with bringing Thrawn to live action was great too. Yeah. Oh my God. Ron with an insane $50 super chat. Oh my God. Says, shows like Andor filling in the story for Rogue One and A New Hope And books like Shadow of the Empire help the sequels. So I think we need more things to fill in to help explain more Star Wars. P.S. Ahsoka is amazing. Well, Ron, that's insanely generous. $50. Holy crap. That's just thank you, first of all. But yes, I mean, filling in the gaps, it sounds like a tedious thing to do, but sometimes it ends up being one of the greatest things we've ever seen in Star Wars. And that's what Rogue One and Andor turned out to be. It's explaining how the Death Star came to be, how the rebellion came to be, and how the rebellion ended up with those Death Star plans. Very simple concept. It's just the first 2 lines of the opening crawl of A New Hope. That's it. Somehow the rebels got the plans for the Death Star and what that Death Star is. Simple as that. And it turns out to be 3 of the best Star Wars projects of all time. It's crazy. So yeah, explain some more things. Explain why Palpatine returned. Explain how Luke goes into hiding. Explain how Kylo Ren falls to the dark side. That stuff could be incredible. We joked about it last stream, but what if Cassian Andor's child is Force sensitive? Bix was teasing at the fact that she was Force sensitive in season 2. What if he goes on, Cassian Jr. goes on to be a youngling at Luke Skywalker's Jedi Temple in a couple years and dies to Kylo Ren during the events of Order 66, Kylo Ren style? I mean, why not? Why not? That's the cool stuff that we love in Star Wars. The same way that we freak out when they mention the Rakatan Empire in Andor Season 2. Stuff like that. It's just what we love as Star Wars fans. We eat it up. It's the greatest stuff. That's why Easter egg videos on online do so well. That's why George Lucas filled the original trilogy and the prequel trilogy with insane amounts of Easter eggs. Yeah. Broom Boy mention. That'd be great. Okay. But now that I've been so rudely interrupted, let me get to my article. Just kidding. Okay. I don't even know which article we were reading. This one, no, this one, no, this one, no, this one. Okay. Princess Leia being in Andor Season 2. The finale of Andor Season 2 is now behind us, sadly. But Tony Gilroy still has so much to say about the critically acclaimed series. He met with Screen Rant to reflect on the finale and possibly a possible future of some of the characters. We talked about this last stream too. Possible spin-offs of Andor with maybe Bix or whoever, Clea. A possible spin-off. And the notion of bringing back Princess Leia. Needless to say, spoilers below. Oh yeah, guys, if you didn't know, we will be spoiling Andor Season 2 in this live stream. So if you just, we're about an hour and 17 minutes in, but if you didn't catch that by now, I apologize. There's probably going to be some spoilers here and there, like Cassian dying on the beaches of Scarif. Still crazy to me that I got called out for doing that. Yeah. Star Wars needs to connect the normies to the diehard fans at the same time. That's a hard thing to do. It is a very hard thing to do, and I think, again, the reason why I like Ahsoka so much is it allows that to happen. And Andor, too. You really don't have to have much prior knowledge of Star Wars to watch any of these shows, but it helps. So for the people who are diehard fans like us, like the people who love Star Wars, the people who dissect every single little Star Wars detail, those fans need to be satisfied at the same time as the normie fans who've never seen anything Star Wars. So you need to play both sides, and that's really difficult to do. Andor does it very well. Mando does it really well. Ahsoka does it really well. I guess Kenobi does it pretty well to an extent. I mean, if you haven't watched the prequels of the originals, you're going to be really lost. But yeah. Okay. So, fan theories, speculations, and far-fetched headcanon have definitely a major part in the fun of when discussing Star Wars movies, shows, and books, as we literally do here all the time. When Screen Rant asked Tony Gilroy about the future of the surviving characters in Andor, he joked about not having anything definitive, but speculated about a few possible outcomes. So, characters who survived, people that we didn't think would survive: Dedra, Wilmot, Val, Clea. These characters who aren't in the original trilogy, aren't in Rogue One, but their stories do continue. So he jokes and says, Dedra's not going anywhere. Of course, she's in that prison that she's probably not going anywhere. Vel, her job is pretty clearly stated. She's a base commander at Yavin. I'm sure she's there during Rogue One and the rest of it, so she's probably there during A New Hope as well. Mon Mothma, obviously, well, we know what happens to her. He went on to discuss Kleya and the complexity of her final arc. A lot of people think that Kleya became their favorite character. Tell me if that's you in the chat. Who is your favorite character in Andor Season 2? To me, it was Luthen. Even after he dies, he's still all over the place in the season. But a lot of people say it's Kleya because of this final arc. But the complexity of this final arc, as she is rescued and heads to Yavin. She is one of the architects of the rebellion, but Yavin is a place where she feels unwelcome, and no one understands or appreciates all that her and Luthen have done. So her and Luthen pretty much made this rebellion happen, and yet she's not appreciated at the place where she created. It's wild. All right, let's check some. Perrin is your favorite character? Interesting. Dedra. Kleya has always been my favorite character. Nice. B2, of course, even though he's not really in Season 2. Melshi, again, even though he's not really in Season 2 much. I like it. Yeah. Marva, again, not in Season 2, but nice. Ahsoka made me like Rebels even more. True. Mon Mothma was great. That's a great one, too. K2SO, of course. I love the whole ensemble. It is true. They all work together so greatly, you know? Yeah, no? It ruins Rebels by giving Sabine Jedi powers randomly. Oh, only the 15 years of training with Kanan Jarrus and Ahsoka Tano weren't enough? Sorry. Free Dedra? Hashtag free Dedra? What are we talking about here? Hashtag free Dedra. Did you not see her torture Bix in Season 1? Did you not see all the horrible things that she did? The Gorman massacre? She killed so many innocent people. What? Cassian? Okay, let's talk about Cassian Andor for a quick second. Before we finish what Tony Gilroy says here, let's talk about Cassian Andor for a second. In terms of on-screen appearances, he's number 4 in screen time in Star Wars. And I'm not just talking in Andor, all time. He's behind Anakin / Darth Vader at number 1 with the most screen time in the original trilogy, prequel trilogy, Clone Wars, all that stuff. Most screen time. Obi-Wan Kenobi. And I believe, who's number 3? Or is Cassian number 3? Who's number 3? Hang on, chat. Most screen time Star Wars characters. I believe he's number 4, but he might be number 3. Hang on. Well, that was from 9 months ago. I need one that's like recently updated. Oh, this one's called Star Wars Character Screen Time Central. Okay. This is just by episodes. Damn it. Huh. Most screen time all time. Okay, let's see. Why does nobody have a list of this? Cassian's either 3 or 4. I saw the list the other day, but I can't. But, okay, this is besides the point. He has more screen time than fan-loved characters like Luke Skywalker, Han Solo, Leia. I can't speak English today, chat. He's got way more screen time than most other characters in the Star Wars universe. So we got to start talking about Cassian, not only as a legacy character, because clearly he is, but is he like one of the best characters in Star Wars? Now, that's, of course, a very opinion-based question. It's, of course, everybody's going to have a different opinion on that question. But it has to be asked. because of the amount of screen time that he has, because of how important he is to the story. He's more important to the Death Star's destruction than almost anybody else. Luthen, of course, is very important as well, but Cassian specifically. Without him, none of it works. And I guess you could say that about a bunch of characters, but Cassian specifically is a very, very important. Wow, Mountain Eater. You eat mountains? Mountain Eater says Cassian has become my favorite character in Star Wars all time. Wow. That's awesome. That's crazy. Yeah. I'm putting a link to an article in the Discord for the changing Disney Plus made to Rogue One thumbnail. Okay, let me check that out. Because I did not see that at all. All right, let's check this out. Disney Plus made changes to Rogue One following Andor Season 2 finale. Let's check this out. Eagle Eye fans have noticed a subtle change in the Star Wars Rogue One on Disney Plus after the release of Andor Season 2. Tony Gilroy's sci-fi streaming... Blah, blah, blah. All right. Oh, on the number 1 list. Let's see if I can find that. Home. Top 10 list on Disney Plus. Oh, yeah, you're right. Okay, so on this thumbnail, Cassian takes the forefront in front of K2SO and Jyn Erso. Honestly, not a dumb move. Still, Jyn Erso is the main character of that movie. Actually, I mean, yeah. Her and Cassian are sort of both main characters. I would say that Jyn is more of a main character. I would guess, honestly, that Cassian has more screen time. But Andor's the big hype right now. Obviously, they're going to put him in the front. It's still, though, however, when you go into the movie itself, Jyn is still the forefront. And I guess not to confuse anybody because Cassian gets his own show, but that is the case. But yeah, you're absolutely right. They did change the thumbnail there. Indeed. Okay, let's go back to this article before I completely get off track and forget about it completely. Okay. So he's talking about Kleya here. She's so unhappy to be at Yavin at the end, and it is such a sad set of circumstances that have brought her there. Of course, Luthen's death. There's things I would have loved to have her say that would just be inappropriate. Sorry, but to have her have some sort of Mona Lisa smile at the end, a tiny touch of it, as she realizes how responsible she is for everything she sees around her. I mean, none of this stuff exists if she hadn't been the person and lived the life that she had and made the sacrifices that she had. And no one will ever know that. So pretty much what he's saying is the ending, the final shot we get of Kleya in Season 2, where she's on Yavin 4, just sort of giving that tiny little smile, that Mona Lisa smile, as he puts it, at the end of the show. That is her going, we did it. That is her Thanos moment, sitting at his garden, looking out at a grateful universe as he's just snapped it all out of existence, half of it out of existence. That is Kleya's moment of, we did it. Her and Luthen, of course. But Luthen is dead, so it's just pretty much her. Yeah. That's pretty cool. The last minutes of Andor Season 2 feature an emotional montage closing the book on the remaining main characters of the show. We watch as Cassian prepares to blast off to the Ring of Kreen, where Rogue One begins. The last shot of the series shows Bix walking through the fields and looking out at the horizon, cradling a young child. Leave it to Tony Gilroy to make a bittersweet ending infinitely, English, Mike, more bittersweet. With the tears still fresh from the reveal, Tony Gilroy explains he included this part of the story for a good reason. So this scene right here, this final scene of Cassian having a child. I had a good idea of how much mileage we were going to put into these characters and how hard the road was going to be. There's a shadow over the show. And I knew, not just dramatically, but personally, there had to be literally legitimate hope at the end of this thing. Or it was really not abusive, but just wrong. I really wanted to underline it for anybody who had who was doubtful about it. When they get to the end, they go, "Oh my God, she's pregnant," and that's why she leaves. Was anybody really thinking that? Be honest, chat. Be honest. When she leaves in episode 9, did you think that she was leaving because she was pregnant? Because I didn't. I absolutely did not. Clea was upset because she was a woman who grew up being able to control things, like pushing a button on Naboo, and now on Yavin, she's basically a prisoner almost. Yes and no. I think she didn't want to go to Yavin the same reason that Luthen didn't want to go to Yavin, because those people, like, yeah, I guess there's just too many of them. They couldn't control what was going on there. You know? I think that Andor's survivors went with Mon Mothma during the Battle of Yavin. Could be. I mean, Vel would definitely go with her. That's for sure. Yeah. Yeah. I knew it. I called it. I don't remember that. No, I didn't think she was pregnant. I didn't either. Yeah, I wasn't even thinking of that. I wasn't thinking it either until, of course, everybody started saying, well, what if this ends with Bix holding a child on a post-credit scene? I remember so many of you were saying that. I was like, it would be cool, but I don't think it'll happen. And then it happened. Yeah. Yeah. So, with that being said, he wanted to end it on a more upbeat note, on a more hopeful note. As we know, rebellions are built on hope. So he didn't want this very dark and gloomy season of death and Luthen's death and Cyril's death and death, all the Gormans. He didn't want that to end on such a doom and gloom note. Because we know where Cassian's going. He's going to die on the beaches of Scarif. Spoiler alert. But he wanted it to end on a more hopeful note, even though Cassian will never see that family again. That's the family that he was fighting for. What did he sacrifice? Everything. And he really did. Maybe he knew that Bix was pregnant. Maybe he didn't. But even still, he's giving up everything. He's giving up at least his love for Bix to be in that rebellion, to be in the spot where he is, to give his life for that cause. And that's sort of the real reason behind that. To leave it on a hopeful note, but to also show us what he is sacrificing in Rogue One, which is insanity. Yeah, I thought of it after rewatching episode 9. Well, after you knew. After you already had known. Yeah. Tony Gilroy also revealed a juicy piece of information when he confirmed that Princess Leia was almost a part of Andor Season 2. The idea was floated with the creative team in early conversations, but unfortunately never made it past that. As exciting as it would have been, Tony Gilroy and his team ultimately decided against it. What's your take on this, chat? Would you have wanted to see Leia? Now, having seen the entirety of the second season, we didn't get any cameos. You can't really consider Saw or Bail Organa a cameo. I mean, Bail, I guess, maybe, but even still, those characters exist in Rogue One and in Season 1. Not Bail, but Saw. So, they're not really cameos. You could have had Tarkin. You could have had Palpatine or Vader or Leia. Would you have wanted to see her in there? After all this has already been said and done, Season 2 is over. Did you want to see Leia in Season 2? Yes or no? Cameos weren't that necessary for the show. I agree with that. No, she wasn't needed. No, she wasn't necessary. Okay. Proper to save Leia for the end of Rogue One. Yeah, I guess. Yeah. Bix and Cassian's child is a new hope. In a way. I wanted 3PO and R2 cameo. That would have been pretty cool. Just to see them maybe in the background or something on Yavin 4, that would be cool. But those are Leia's droids, so she would be there. Well, I guess they're Bail Organa's droids, too. Well, the fact we got so much Bail Organa would lead you to believe that we would get some Leia, too, but that didn't happen. It would have been a cool cameo, but honestly not necessary. Okay. And this is coming from somebody who loves her character, and I just didn't feel like she'd fit. I guess, sure. Sure. I feel like if we saw Leia, we'd be having a completely different conversation because it would be a very small cameo. She wouldn't be involved too much. She'd probably be around the Senate or be around her dad, and it wouldn't be that big of a deal. Maybe even a mention of her would have been pretty cool. Yeah. A mention of Project Stardust and Thrawn would have been awesome. Well, Thrawn would have been gone by that point, but yeah, it would have been cool. Project Stardust would have been cool too. I like how they dealt with the Death Star. Getting the fact that like Lonnie knows about it but doesn't know what it is, knows it's a weapon but he doesn't know what it actually is. He just knows it's connected to Gorman and Jeddah, and all this stuff that they've been doing over the last 5 years has been connected to this one energy project, but they don't know what the weapon is. And the same thing, Clea doesn't know what the weapon is, Luthen doesn't know what the weapon is until Rogue One, the opening scene. Cassian's asking him, what is this weapon? What is this weapon? It's a planet killer. And that reveal now is actually a reveal. Because the opening scene of Rogue One, or opening scene for Cassian, I guess, where he's on the Ring of Kerfine talking to Tivik. And he says, what kind of weapon? And he says, a planet killer? That hits so much more now when you've seen Andor. Because they're talking about this weapon, but they don't know what it is. It is really cool. But here's what Tony Gilroy had to say about it. There were some conversations early on. I was trying to get the most out of what Investiture Week, that second arc, was it? Yeah, the second arc of season 2, where they had all those parties at Davos's house, and Mon Mothma was going to all these different parties all week. And those parties, we were trying to find out on the timeline where she would be in the Senate. So what role Leia would have at this point. She's not the senator from Alderaan because that is Bail Organa, but what role she had at this point in the timeline. There were some nutrients for a scene between her and Mon Mothma. If she were going there at 16 and Mon had gone to the Senate when she was 16, okay, that would be kind of cool. There was some basic cool things there for a scene, but we never got past that, and it never went into the casting stage. So they would have recast Leia. That's pretty much what he's saying there. They would have recasted her. I don't think people would have liked that. I don't know. You guys tell me. Would you guys have liked Leia being recast? I don't think so. I would have hated it. I'm not a fan of the recast, especially when it comes to legacy characters from the original trilogy. The Bail Organa recast I was okay with, but I'm not a fan of a Leia recast, you know? I'm curious. Maybe I missed something. Who all knew that it was actually the Death Star? I'm guessing everyone in the circles were told that it was an energy project. Did Partagaz know of the weapon? Yeah. Partagaz even says the Death Star to Krennic's face in that finale. So only a handful of people really knew about the Death Star. They kept it a secret for over a decade from so many higher-ups, even in the Empire. It is crazy. Yeah. Okay. But he goes on to say, after saying that it would be cool because Mon Mothma, they didn't go into the casting stage, or it never got more real than that, just the idea of having that conversation between her and Mon Mothma. I remember talking to Kathy Kennedy about it and talking to Pablo Hidalgo about it, but it never got any traction, and then it became a distraction. So instead of just distracting from the rest of the show, when it wasn't really needed, they just kept on going. So I think that's probably the right decision to do. Leia definitely would have taken away from the show, and it really wouldn't have served a purpose for the story. Like I mentioned before, Ahsoka and Luke Skywalker in The Mandalorian Season 2, that serves a purpose to the story. Anakin showing up in the World Between Worlds to Ahsoka in Ahsoka, that serves a purpose in the story. If Leia just showed up, it wouldn't have served a purpose to the story, so I get that. I get it, and I guess I agree, but I definitely would not be recasting her if they did have her in the show. Yeah. Even the Bail kind of threw me off. I had to tell myself, this is Bail, this is Bail. It is kind of strange because Bail Organa doesn't look like that in Rogue One and doesn't look like that in Kenobi either, but it works. I mean, shout out to Benjamin Bratt. He did a great job with the character, but the look, it just throws you off a little bit. Just a little bit. A little bit. Yeah. For sure. Okay, I want to get to this because I know I'll forget if we don't get to it now, so let's talk about this. Natalie Portman has just reopened the floodgates for Star Wars fans for the possibility of Padme Amidala coming back to Star Wars. Now, I want to put up a poll in the chat about this before we even get into the interview, because this is pretty interesting to me. This is pretty interesting to me. Stop the hate on Benjamin Bratt. I just said he did great. What are you talking about? Krennic knew about the project? Yeah, he was the one who was in charge of it. What do you mean? Of course he knew about the project. What? Okay. That poll, for some reason, oh, there we go. Do you want Battlefront 3? 84% of you say yes. I agree with that. Okay, but let's do this. Do you want Natalie Portman back in Star Wars? Yes or no? You tell me. Obviously, she died of sadness in Revenge of the Sith and died giving birth to Luke and Leia. So she's not coming back to life. It would have to be some sort of Clone Wars flashback and maybe Ahsoka Season 2 or something along those lines. But tell me in the chat, do you want her back in Star Wars? And as you do so, let's see what she had to say about this. This is Natalie Portman on the red carpet for her new movie with John Krasinski. I don't remember what it's called, but yeah, that.
She should be a journalist for...
Oh, hang on.
For someone on... She doesn't have time. She's working so much, but
right?
She's the best, and she's so fun.
But finally, speaking of traveling to a galaxy far, far away, you recently expressed interest to rejoin maybe into the Star Wars universe. We know your character died, but you know what, girl? Anything can happen in that world. You and McGregor, Christian Haydenson, they've all come back. What would you like to do? How much would you like to wield a lightsaber, be a Jedi?
Listen, nobody's asked me, but I'm open to everything, you know? Life's only fun if you're open to every possibility.
We can only hope to see you with a lightsaber.
Thank you.
So, well, two things going on here. One, this interviewer has clearly never seen Star Wars in her life. She called Hayden Christensen Christian Haydenson and talked about Padme Amidala wielding a lightsaber. But this is sort of your average, I know something you don't type of actor answer. She's like, I didn't get the call yet, but, you know, I'll be very open to it, you know, like, yeah, sure. Okay. Ahsoka Season 2 isn't filming right now. If we're doing a Clone Wars flashback with Ewan McGregor and Hayden Christensen, why not have Natalie Portman involved too? So tell me in the chat, do you think she is coming back? What do we think? What do we think? Mike, what if Padme is the mother of the Mortis gods? What if she is Abeloth? Well, that was sort of the big theory that we came up with. I don't even know how long ago we did that, but a long, long time ago. And that was that Padme Amidala could come to Anakin and Ahsoka. Or sorry, Abeloth could come to Anakin and Ahsoka looking like Padme Amidala, Natalie Portman's Padme Amidala, to sort of throw them off. Because that's what Abeloth does. She can take the disguise of anybody. And that's how she's so manipulative. She's obviously very, very powerful and has the ability to look like anybody, but that would be really, really cool. Almost like a Mysterio type character from Far From Home, Spider-Man Far From Home, where she can look like whoever she wants and sort of get into the people's heads that she looks at. And showing up as Padme Amidala to Anakin and Ahsoka would be insane. Would be absolutely insane. Yeah. No, I don't assume she is based on what we've heard so far. Well, this is just one of the 3 interviews, because she was on some I forget what the talk show was, but she was on some talk show like 3 months ago or 4 months ago, where she was asked if she'd come back to Star Wars, and she sort of said a very similar thing, but she said yes, both times she'd be very open to coming back to Star Wars. It's very strange for an actress of this caliber to be open to something like that. If she really didn't intend to ever come back to Star Wars, she'd be like, my character's dead, so I don't think I'd be doing that. So, I don't know. Mike, Natalie was asked if she wanted to be, and she said a Jedi? What? No, well, the interviewer said a Jedi, which was very strange. Let's rewind and listen to the Christian Haydenson. Should we start calling Hayden Christensen Haydenson now? Like that? Is that a new thing, Jen?
In that world, you and McGregor, Christian Haydenson, they've all come back. What would you like to do? How much would you like to wield a lightsaber, be a Jedi?
Listen, nobody's asked me, but I'm open to everything, you know? Life's only fun if you're...
Every time I see an actor or an actress answer like this, like, oh, I haven't gotten a call yet. You know, nobody's asked me yet. I just immediately think of Andrew Garfield saying, you know, that's not me. It's literally a picture in 4K of him as Spider-Man. He's like, that's not me. Or even Ben Mendelsohn last year was asked about if he's going to be coming back to Star Wars. He was like, no. And then he's in Andor season 2. So when it comes to actors and actresses in these interviews, you can never really believe what they're saying. But the fact that she's open to even possibly returning begs the question, does the fandom as a whole want her, I guess, to come back? Do you want Padme Amidala in Star Wars again? What do we think? What do we think? Somehow Padme returned? I'll be down for that. Yeah, no? The positivity needs to return, Mike? I think we've been pretty positive today, no? Natalie Portman as Abeloth makes too much sense, right? Especially with Ahsoka having that relationship with Padme too. Like, it's not just Anakin and, of course, his relationship to Padme, but Ahsoka and Padme were like best friends in the Clone Wars too. So if Abeloth came to them as Padme, oh, it would be so good. Nobody's called me yet. That's Cap. I mean, yeah. I bet you she's gotten a few phone calls about coming back to Star Wars over the years, definitely, but in recent past, I'm sure too. So it could be that she's Abeloth, or it could just be a flashback. We know that there's going to be more flashback, or we think there's going to be more flashbacks to the Clone Wars in Ahsoka Season 2, with Ariana Greenblatt being rumored to be coming back as young Ahsoka, and Ewan McGregor being rumored to come back as Obi-Wan Kenobi, and Hayden Christensen, of course, is in Ahsoka Season 2. We know that for a fact. So maybe it's a flashback and we get some Padme from the Clone Wars. That could work. But I just can't get off the Abeloth idea of seeing Padme Amidala as Abeloth confronting Ahsoka in Anakin. It would be so damn cool. Oh, it would be awesome. Yeah. And yes, we get the trio back. That's for sure. We get the prequel trio back. Anakin, Padme, and Obi-Wan. It would be great. It would be absolutely great, but you know, it's always the possibility. Now, where she could return? Well, this is Screen Rant's take. Natalie Portman and Padme Amidala are absolutely brilliant parts of Star Wars, and while they would inevitably be some backlash if she did return in some way, I would not be among the ones of those angry voices. I have trust that Star Wars would do it the right way. But as someone who feels that Padme is an undervalued character, I would be delighted to see her return. Knowing that Natalie Portman is on board only makes the possibility even that much more thrilling. But the likelihood of that happening is another matter. Though, as Natalie Portman, made clear, the call has not come through yet. Could be a lie. It is unclear what Star Wars really wants to do in terms of continuing stories in the Skywalker saga or letting them go. With Christian Haydenson and Ewan McGregor's recent returns, though, it seems only fair that Natalie Portman has a Star Wars comeback as well. The weird thing about that, too, combat the fact that she might come back, is that wouldn't she have come back in the Obi-Wan Kenobi series? Vader is always struggling with the fact that he lost Padme. And I get that we didn't focus too much on Vader in that Kenobi series, but Padme had a lot to do with the reason that Anakin fell and that Obi-Wan ends up on Tatooine. So the fact that she wasn't really even mentioned, actually she was mentioned in Kenobi, but the fact that she wasn't even brought up or even seen in flashbacks or something like that, that could have been the perfect opportunity to do so. I don't know. We shall see. But tell me in the chat, do you want Padme Amidala back in Star Wars? Let's see where the poll actually sits at right now. 88% of you say yes. 89 actually now. I agree. I mean, why not at this point? If you're going to do a flashback to the Clone Wars in Ahsoka Season 2, again, to explain the Mortis gods or even just to do whatever, why not have Padme Amidala be there? Or even better, make her Abeloth. It would be so cool. It would be so cool. It would not only give us Padme Amidala back in Star Wars, but it would show you immediately how powerful Abeloth is. Get into the minds of Anakin and Ahsoka, two very powerful Force users, the chosen one himself, to get into the minds of those characters and show up as the one character that would get in Anakin's head. Oh, it would be so good. And maybe you'd even get to see Anakin lash out as a Force ghost even. It would be so cool. Yeah. It'd be awesome. Maybe get a flashback of Yoda talking to the Mortis gods or something. Well, the flashback would probably be to explain the Mortis gods. But how they do that, I don't know. We want Shmi Skywalker? That'd be kind of cool. That'd be kind of cool. What if she is both the mother and Padme? That'd be freaky if Abeloth did that. I don't understand. I want a live-action Grievous show. Make it 8 episodes of him hunting down Jedi on the Battle of Geonosis, at the Battle of Geonosis. A Grievous origin story would be pretty cool. Maybe a Tales of the General Grievous. Tales of the Separatists. I'd watch that. Should they do a Vader series? I'd love a Vader series, don't get me wrong. I don't know. There'd have to be a great story to tell because so much of Vader's story is already fleshed out in the comics, in the books, in the shows, in the movies. There need to be a really, really good story to tell. Yeah. You know? Abeloth can't come to the main galaxy until after the sequels, or it will be ridiculous. I agree. Yeah. I think the purpose of Ahsoka Season 2 is to establish that Grand Admiral Thrawn is now the heir to the Empire with this big old war in the main Star Wars galaxy. But it's also to establish that Abeloth cannot leave Peridea because she's way too powerful. And Ahsoka and Anakin and Sabine and Huge Wang, their goal is to actually keep her there. Just like the Mortis gods were keeping her prisoner while they were alive. Now Ahsoka and Sabine and Anakin have to keep her there. And that might be why she's not involved in the Heir to the Empire arc and why she's not in the sequel trilogy either. Because that's where they are. And it could explain, too, where Anakin is. Because Anakin's Force Ghost could have appeared to Luke at any time. Could have appeared to Luke and told him what was happening with Kylo Ren or Ben Solo. Could have told him that Palpatine returns or whatever. Exegol, told him about Exegol. But if he's on Peridea, keeping Abeloth a prisoner, keeping the galaxy safe, that would be, first of all, a great story to tell. And explain why he's not involved. Like, he gets a visit from Yoda's Force Ghost. Why is that? Why not Anakin? Well, seems highly likely that it's because he's keeping Abeloth a prisoner on Abeloth. And that allows you to have Abeloth break free eventually in a post-sequel world and become a villain in a post-sequel world, which would be fantastic, you know? Like, you should do a Star Wars character tier list stream. I thought about doing that. This is so many characters. You know, it would take days. It would take years. Yeah. So what are the actual chances of Battlefront 3? Okay, let's bring it all back together. Tie it all back. And if it happens, when will it be announced? Well, the chances of Battlefront 3, I think, are very, very high at this point. Because of Star Wars fans, and I don't see this ending anytime soon. I think it actually is just starting to ramp up. Battlefront 2's numbers keep going up, and the comment sections of every post ever online is just filled with, we want Battlefront 3, or these funny images of, like, unite to make Battlefront 3 happen. The Republic needs you, or like this stuff. Spread the word. Battlefront 3 is coming. The fact that stuff is all over the place, I think it's very likely that this game does happen. However, it's going to take a while for that game to be created and a while for it to happen. So when will it be announced? Hopefully, it gets announced that they're working on it somewhat soon so that these fans can get some reassurance that they're listening, that Lucasfilm's listening, Disney's listening, EA is listening. And they've heard our calls. They're going to make it. They're going to make the game. And it could literally just be with the Battlefront 3 with the black screen, like I mentioned earlier. It doesn't have to be anything crazy, just that it's in development, that they're making it. And then it probably won't be until Star Wars Celebration 2027, so 2 years from now, where we get like an actual trailer or an actual real solid piece of gameplay or anything like that. So it'll be a while. It'll be a really long time. This is the long game. We're just getting started here. But until then, I'm going to play the hell out of Battlefront 2 because it is so back. The only reason that people weren't playing Battlefront 2 is because nobody was playing it. Because there weren't lobbies to play in. And it wasn't as fun with nobody playing. Couldn't get into games and all that stuff. I was getting into games in like seconds last night. Like there's so many people on right now that there's games all over the place. So if you're not yet playing, hop on. I mean, we can play together. Absolutely. If you hang on, let me send the link over. If you are not yet subscribed to the Eggs Gaming channel, this is this sort of gaming channel I have with a bunch of my buddies. The Eggs actually stands for something, so that won't be revealed until we hit 1 million subscribers. That was the deal. So if you're not subscribed to the Eggs yet, go subscribe to it. I'll send the link in the chat right now because we'll be streaming. We streamed Battlefront 2 last night. We'll probably be streaming it tonight. If not, then tomorrow night for sure. But watch out for those live streams and come join us. Let's get a crew together. Let's fight for the Republic. Take down the Separatists, or even better yet, take down the Empire. Because rebellions are built on hope, chat. Rebellions are built on hope. No, it's an acronym. Yeah. EGGS stands for something. But I said when we first made the Eggs account that I won't be revealing what that means until the Eggs channel hits 1 million subscribers. So we're only at like 40 subscribers over there. So it's going to be a long ride, but you'll eventually figure it out. Or maybe not. I don't know. That's the problem. Alex says, what are you playing on? I play on an Xbox. So the problem is it's not cross-platform. That's the biggest thing about Battlefront 3 too, is it needs to be cross-platform. So if you don't have an Xbox, you can't really play with me. That kind of sucks. But if you do have an Xbox, hit me up because we gotta take some people down, you know? Yeah, it's not cross-platform. It's so stupid. It literally makes me want to go buy a PlayStation so that I can play with you guys that play PlayStation and then play with the people who have Xbox too, because so many people have both, you know? Steam all the way. Also, there's the PC version. We could play some PC too. Yeah. But for now, I'm mainly Xbox. So if you have an Xbox, go do that. Yeah. Since most of Battlefront 2's DICE team is split at this point, what are your thoughts on Battlefront 2 remastered with a new DICE team to learn the Frostbite engine and kind of prepare for a Battlefront 3? It's not a bad idea, remastering Battlefront 2. It's not the worst idea in the world. Yes, a lot of that team did leave in 2021 or 2020 or whatever it was when they stopped updating the game. That makes sense because they weren't working on the game anymore. They needed to work, so they left they left DICE. But yes, I mean, in order to make Battlefront 3 as good as it can be, as good as Battlefront 2 is, and even better, they have to have a great team behind it. So maybe remastering Battlefront 2 would help, but I think a lot of people would be upset about that because they're not working on Battlefront 3. Instead, they're working on remastering 2. I don't know. We'll see. Do we know the viewership number for the last 6 Andor episodes? I have not seen anything about it, but I'll look into it. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. But until then, go subscribe to the Eggs Gaming channel over there, and we will stream some Battlefront very, very soon. Watch out for a short on this channel tonight at 5 o'clock, as per usual, and some stuff tomorrow. I'm working on some really cool stuff behind the scenes right now. More what-ifs are on the way now that Andor is over, but we got some other 2 cool projects that I'm working on in terms of really cool things with the channel. That's all I can say for now. So that's all I can say for now. Those members in the members only portion of the Discord know a little bit more than others, so we'll just keep you guys posted there. So until then, smash a freaking like on this stream if you have not already. How many likes do we have, chat? How many likes do we have, chat? Am I going to be upset? Oh, that's a pretty good amount of likes, actually. Okay, smash a freaking like on this stream if you have not already. Hit that subscribe and hit that bell so you're going to be notified every time I post a video, and my pretty face will show up with a recommended feed of yours. I get it. Battlefront 3, it's a video game. Not everybody likes to talk Star Wars video games. I get it. But we had to talk about this today. It was just too big of news. It needed to be talked about. But until next time, huge shout out. Oh, wait, before we do that, huge shout outs to Ron for the very generous $50 haul. Holy crap. David, Darth Plagueis lives, your pal Joe. I appreciate it. Super chats, memberships, keep the lights on over here. So I appreciate it quite a bit. And yeah. Hashtag Battlefront 3. Let's make it happen. Let's do something great with the Star Wars community. Let's get united and back up something really cool. But until then, may the Force be with you. Always. Oh, yeah. What a great stream. What a great show. You guys are the absolute best. I appreciate you all so much more than you will ever know. I mean, it's inevitable. It's like Thanos. Battlefront 3 is inevitable. But I think we'll just have to be patient and wait our turn. And until then, go load those Battlefront 2 lobbies. Whew, it'll be awesome. Yeah, Dustin, welcome to the people who love Star Wars. Okay. And until next time, watch out for that short later on tonight. Watch out for it. Okay. Until next time, hope you have a great rest of your evening, great rest of your lives, and good night, everybody.